Hello everyone, the Warm here for my epilogue of the Somnium files. I'm going to be talking about a few different things here. I'm first going to give my general thoughts on the story of the game, my impressions, basically just give my opinions on more general topics about the game. And it is certainly not a review. I have not played enough of these kinds of games or really reviewed anything, so I certainly do not have the experience to do that. All I can really do is give my opinion, and you can take it or leave it. Simple enough. So that'll be the first part of this video. The second part is I'm going to go into a bit more detail and actually do a character tier list. I did this as well with my last Let's Play, and it was kind of fun to do. It let me kind of go over my thoughts in a bit more detail, specifically about the characters. So I'm going to do that as well. And then the third part will be future plans. So, basically, it's going to be my thoughts on doing the Let's Play and my thoughts on doing future Let's Plays. And so if you want to, basically, if you want to suggest anything, either regarding how I do something or suggesting a game or something, I'd appreciate it being done on this video here. Of course, I'll get more into that in the third section here. So, let's start. The Somnium Files. It's a game that I've had my eye on for quite a while, actually, since it came out. I remember hearing about it and seeing a few people that I would regularly watch Let's Play it, but I never, just never really got around playing it, and it always just sort of sat on my wish list for quite a while, and I'd always kind of look at it and think, maybe not, because, well, I guess I just had and I still do have a big backlog of stuff, and I just really didn't think about starting another one. But as these sorts of things tend to go, there was a sale, and it was cheap, so I bought it. And now that I've started doing Let's Plays, it seemed like a good choice. It is a kind of visual novel. It's a mystery. It gives me something to talk about, and it doesn't have a lot of complex things happening at once. And so I think it turned out to be a good choice. And I will say, my overall thoughts on this game are generally positive. I do have issues with this game. Let it be known. I do have issues with this game, quite a few negatives, but overall, I'm glad I played it. I'm glad I finally got around to playing it. So, let's do good news first, eh? For good news, and then we'll get into bad news later. So, I wrote a little list. Let's see. Where is it? Let me bring up my list of things I liked. Okay, so first things first. I really liked Iba, and the reason why I'm talking about this now and not in the character tier list, I'll talk about it more in the character tier list, is that Iba I enjoyed both as a character and for her role in the game as our partner, and she was just a joy to have around all the time. especially, as a counterbalance to all the sort of nonsense that was happening around us at times. She would be the one to sort of bring us back down to earth. She was the straight man with regard to some of the jokes, but she could also be silly and zany herself. That was mainly confined to the Somniums. But really, it came down to sort of, she was our partner. She was our partner, and I liked that dynamic of having the reliable partner that you can discuss things with, or always has your back, that you can trust. And I always got that sense from Iba, and as we saw throughout the whole game, she was right there with us. So I do think Iba is probably my favorite character. You can guess where she's going to go in the tier list. And yeah, so part of, I'll get this into more when I talk about the story. I kind of, what I was hoping for entering this game was I was looking for cyberpunk noir. That was my, that's what attracted me to this game. That's kind of what I wanted to see. And Iba kind of embodied both of that. And she was our police partner, but she also embodied this very cyberpunk idea of, she's this prosthetic eye that is an AI and is connected to the system and can search and have all these, abilities, X-ray, zoom in, all these sorts of things. It was just I just enjoyed that whole dynamic the entire way through. So that's definitely the big plus for me, was Iba. Okay, second thing I really enjoyed about the Somnium Files was all the various family dynamic situations that we encountered throughout the game. And in particular, I'm talking about the Okiura family. I'm talking about the Matsushita family, Hitomi and Iris, and I felt that the game showed some pretty, what would a good term be? Kind of raw familial situations where there's abuse or there's, broken families, essentially. And I felt it felt good seeing the characters attempt to rectify these situations. With Ota, coming around in his ending to resolving himself to be better towards his mother and work for her betterment, and I really especially liked the Mizuki route, where eventually it comes to Date and Mizuki being able to create, two strangers able to come together and form a new family out of a broken one. And I think it especially got to me because they all ended in a kind of positive notion. Their families were still broken. That didn't change, but all of our characters seem to be moving in a positive direction at the end, even if they came from horrible situations. Similar thing with Iris and Hitomi. That Iris and Hitomi were probably the most wholesome. Well, not probably. Well, I think you could see Mayumi and her love for her son as wholesome, but Hitomi just being such a caring mother to her daughter Iris, who's not related by blood, but she grew to love her anyway, and that is just that love is present throughout every route. We have multiple routes where Hitomi is just trying to do everything she can for Iris. Some of those methods are a bit questionable, and we may get into that, but I think you can't doubt the authenticity that you can feel with those sorts of feelings they're bringing up. So that was another big plus for me. And the third big thing that was enjoyable to me was the mystery, solving the mystery. And if you've seen my Danganronpa 2 Let's Play, I don't think I did very well. But I've mentioned in the comments before, and I think I mentioned at the beginning of this Let's Play, I've played like Umineko and Higurashi before, and those were like my big early like intro to visual novel kind of things, and I was just not able to figure things out. I hadn't read mystery novels, and I'm not that deep into the genre, but it's something I've grown to be more fascinated with as time goes on, and thus why I was kind of interested in this game. So I'm actually quite pleased with myself in my taking on this mystery. I was able to get I was able to work out a few key facts pretty early on, including that Saito, Seijima, and Iris were half siblings. Of course, I didn't know it was Saito Seijima at the time. I just Date's body. But again, I don't know where on the difficulty scale the Somnium Files is. Maybe this is an easy mystery game. Maybe I'm just maybe this is kind of beginner, and I'm happy over nothing. Well, I'll be happy anyway. I'll choose to be pleased with my progress, because I was in once I got the info on like the body hopping and the prototype machine, everything pretty much fell into place pretty quick, and so that there wasn't really any big surprise for me at the end, which I guess is a good thing in a sense, in that you can kind of be satisfied that you've been able to piece things together. So that was a fun part for me in doing this game here. Yeah, so that was that. Let's get into the negatives, because there are quite a few. Let's see here. Okay, so first thing, and it's kind of the obvious thing, I didn't really hide my opinion about it. But I didn't really enjoy the tone of the game. As I just mentioned earlier, I was kind of going in for this cyberpunk noir, and that is definitely not what the game is. It has a little bit of that, to be sure. We are a detective trying to figure out a serial murder, but it is just, it is very consistent with the jokes and the silliness and the undercutting and the, just, it for me, it felt like it was tough to get invested at times, because I didn't know how seriously to take the story. How am I supposed to be feel sad or worry over characters when I don't know if Aiba can just shout out there's a porn mag and Date will save the day. It was just a constant negative for me. It never left. I was kind of hoping when Date got his body back and got his memories back, I was kind of hoping, maybe he would, mature a bit, but then that didn't happen anyway, so it's just, I didn't like it. And again, I said this very early on in my Let's Play. If you like that, if you thought it was funny, if it wasn't a detriment to you at all, that's fine. That's great. You were able to enjoy the game. And good for you. That's totally legitimate. It's just for me, that wasn't really what I was looking for, and so it was just kind of a constant, downer for me. It makes me worried. I don't think I'm going to play the sequel immediately. Maybe further down the line. Maybe when it's on a sale one day, I'll pick it up and maybe play it. But now I have this thought in the back of my head that, well, it's probably going to be more of this, And because, now I know what the tone of the game's going to be like. Do I want to get back into that sort of thing? And I'm honestly not sure at the moment. I'll have to give it some thought. But I can talk about that more in my future plans section. So let's get into the last big thing I wasn't cool with, or that I didn't like. So if I just talked about the tone, now it's the story inconsistencies and things not making sense. And if I have any of this wrong, please feel free to let me know. Just, shout it out. Say, hey, idiot, you missed this. Because at this point, I'm not going to go back over and try to find things. But there were just a lot of things that I thought the story was going good, and then it would just sort of like break down, or things would just stop making sense. So I have a couple examples of this. It was right at the end when 89 and Rohan swapped bodies in order for 89 to get into Rohan and then call off the attack on Iris and Hitomi. And then, so they do the swap. 89 in Rohan's body goes up to talk to Boss and Pewter, and then they turn around and Rohan in 89's body is just gone. And it just... Now I have... For that scene to make sense, I now have to believe that those three people, the very skilled and clever and cunning boss, the genius mad scientist Pewter, and the skilled assassin detective 89, are now idiots. Because none of them thought to, tie him to the chair, or to drug him, or anything to stop him from leaving. And again, the scene didn't even make sense to me on another level, because there was a policeman in there, and it's like, who's this policeman? Is he a member of Abyss? I thought Abyss was supposed to be this super secret thing no one's supposed to know. Why is there a random police guy in here? Oh, he has to be in there because he needs to explain what happened, where 89 went. It's just, it's just these things that I was willing to go along with what the story was telling me until we run into these weird points like that. It's like, why couldn't Hitomi ask Renju for the money to save Iris? Why? She was apparently willing to go blackmail So Sagema, which is an incredibly dangerous thing to do, and it never once crossed her mind to ask her friend who cared for Iris, maybe not as much as she did, but very much still cared for her emotionally, but also because she's a very successful idol at his workplace, and he's rich enough to hire a mercenary company. Why in the world wouldn't he be willing to spend money to cure her? I don't understand. And it's like, she had this headband that apparently stopped the tumor? What? So was she in danger or not? Like, I don't know the stakes anymore, and people seem stupid, and I don't want these. I don't want to be, because it makes me feel stupid to suddenly be invested in the story that is acting this way, or these sorts of things. It's like, It's just these little things, you know. Maybe, am I nitpicking? Am I off base here? Because if someone wants to let me know, please feel free, because I'm not sure. Like, does this happen often in mystery visual novels or not? Because I'm worried now. And there's tons of things. Like, I could go back and think of tons of these sorts of things. And of course, you know, those nonsensical scene, the QuickTime event cutscenes with Date and Aiba. It's just, I don't even want to get into them. They're just crazy nonsense. They're like comic relief. They're not meant to be serious. And yet, like, if they were somehow, those scenes were disconnected from the rest of the reality, that'd be fine. But then they're referenced in, you know, in following scenes, and it's just disappointing. It's just disappointing. So, yeah, I think that's it. Let's get into the character tier list. Those are my general thoughts on the Somnium Files. Overall, generally positive, but definitely some mixed and negative thoughts towards it. Glad I played it, because I've just been curious about it for so long. But I may not be invested enough to play the second one. That's kind of where I'm feeling at the moment. So, yeah. Okay, next we are going to... let's see. Let's just... Let me see here. Okay, we are going to do this. Okay. So, I found a character tier list here, and we are going to go ahead and rank them, and it'll give me a chance to talk more about these characters. So let's put on an appropriate OST or appropriate soundtrack here. Here we go. That seems appropriate to me. Okay. Let's just let's begin, shall we? Aiba, obviously S tier immediately. Just, she was the best. She was the best. She could be serious. She could be funny. She was our number one backup. She was like our family. She was the one person we could trust 100%. And so, if there's anything that would make me want to, you know, continue into the next game, it would have to be, it'd probably be Aiba again. Like, I was thinking, I should have brought this up in the section where I was talking about the story. I was going to say something about the parallel worlds thing, that I just did not find that idea satisfying. And I was just reminded of it talking about Aiba. I wish it would talk about... I was going to say, I wish there was an explanation for the parallel worlds thing, because I felt it unsatisfying that they bring it up, and then you're just supposed to assume, yes, there are parallel worlds, and for some reason Date can interact or remember the parallel worlds, and not even give a reason why. And one thing I was thinking is it could be I was just thinking, what if there was an explanation? And I was thinking maybe it'd be something cool, like, and I think I mentioned this in the Let's Play, that maybe it could be like the Aiba and the Wadjet system, and it's like such an amazing supercomputer that it's able to map out alternate timelines or something, just through its, you know, vast computational power. and that's sort of what we were seeing in the game we were playing. But I don't think the game didn't appear to go there, so that I ended up just feeling disappointed. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that point up. Sorry. Back to character tier lists. So that's S tier. I'm gonna bring up another S tier. Where is she? Here she is. Mizuki. I really enjoyed her. I enjoyed her dynamic with Date. I can recall very early on. It was after she snuck in the car, and hearing them, her and Date, go back and forth at each other was just, it was fun. Because at the time I was getting just kind of sick of Date, and so her jabbing back at him just felt good. Plus, you know, we got her whole family dynamic, and seeing Date step up in order to help her was very, very nice, and that helped kind of redeem him a bit in my eyes. So yes, these two especially. If I'm not sure what the next game would be like, but I would really hope they'd be a big part of it, because I enjoyed their moments more than anything else. So let's keep going. We have a few really minor characters down here. I'm just gonna start putting a few of these guys up here. Yeah. So these two Yakuza guys, they were just sort of nothing characters. Small comic relief, but I didn't really care about them, so D tier. Oh, and again, I want to clarify, this tier list is not me saying objectively whether or not these guys are poorly written or something. Rather, it's merely my opinion on how much I enjoy the character throughout the game. So, just want to throw that out there. Random Cop, I guess, goes there too, because they didn't have much personality and they never made any progress with the case. It was always us who had to do it. Our old pal Kagami, I'll put him in B. He was one of the funnier jokes in the game, so I'll put him there. Mermaid Girl. Meh. She was just kind of there. Gave us some information, but didn't really care for her that much. Driver. He was kind of funny with his accent and just what he talked about, but still meh. But more important than these guys. Nurse probably goes there too, because at least these people provided information. These guys are just nothing characters, essentially. And these guys too. Also, the bodyguards, also sort of nothing character. Okay, now these ones are a bit tougher, because now we're getting into characters that were all pretty involved with the plot. Boss goes in A. I did like her. She looks good. She was smart most of the time, sometimes not so smart. But she could be witty. She did some of the dirty jokes, but again, I'm not against dirty jokes or sex jokes in principle. It's just in moderation, you know? Just not all the time, constantly. But I did enjoy her, like having checkups with her and talking about the case with her, and she had some good moments. Plus we had this scene with where it was her when she was taken over by Saito. I think the voice actress had a lot of fun at times playing this character. I do just want to say, I feel like the voice actors and actresses in this game were pretty good all around. I don't think there were any bad ones. These two were pretty meh. These two were not too good, but pretty much all the others were all right, I feel. I don't know if there's any voice that is far above. I did like Falco's voice. I did like it. It's very I'm not sure what words to describe it. It's like I'd want him to read stories to me, you know? He's very what would it be, suave, and yeah, he had a good voice, I'd say. Like I'd want to hear him do an audiobook with a noir, as with a detective and things like that. I'd want to hear him narrate that. I'm a bit confused about these two. I guess this is meant to be Falco, as in the guy before the events of 6 years ago, and this guy here is meant to be our Date Konami. That is who we play as through the game. At least that's how I'm going to interpret it, because we have Saito over here too. So I'm going to say pre 6 years ago Falco, and then post 6 years Date. And so where do I put these guys? That's a tough one, actually. Unfortunately for me, Date's like on the border between A and B. And it kind of makes me sad to say that, because he's our protagonist. I'm gonna start him here. And it's just because I just didn't like the constant joking around. I didn't like sometimes he just felt stupid. Sometimes, like, when we were in the interrogations and we presented evidence and things like that, that's when he sounded the best. Or when we were on Mizuki's route and he was there for her, that was, okay, I'll put him in A, because he was there for Mizuki and he really cared for her, and that was really good. But man, I definitely can't put him in S. I just can't. Yeah, that's tough. Falco. I'd want to put him like up here. He's on the border too. It's tough because I'll leave him there for now. I may revisit him. He was the cop turned assassin, became nihilistic, and then was redeemed by finding love for a woman. It's a story that I'm sure has been told before, but I thought it was done all right. So, yeah. Hitomi, A. She was very consistent. Always cared about Iris. Always cared about her students. And was very brave in that respect. And so I can really appreciate her. So she's firmly an A. Iris. Oh, that one's tough too. I'll put her an A for now. Iris is a toughie. Of course, we have to remember some of the bad stuff she did. It was because it was Saito. So, we have to think about Iris when she was just Iris. So yeah, I'll stay with A. Good relationship with Mizuki. Good relationship with, our guy, Date, and Falco. The issue, of course, is I don't like that Date and stuff would make jokes or like hitting on her or things like that. It just, yeah. I have to revisit a few of these. Mama can go firmly in B, I think. She was gave us a lot of information. Was comic relief every now and then. Nothing really negative about her. So yeah, I enjoyed her dynamic with Date and each time they were with each other. Of course, she also dove into that, inappropriate territory, like a few times, and worryingly, like around children, like Mizuki or Iris. Iris is 18, but still, is just. I'd want her to have a bit more of a filter. Okay, that's it. But otherwise, all right, I guess. Monica, Iris's mom. Probably here-ish. I mean, there just wasn't enough time to get to know her or get invested in her, or she obviously made some wrong decisions with getting with So. But I'm sure she would have cared. She would have loved Iris. She seemed a kind person. Yeah. It's not that I dislike. Like, this is the more like meh to dislike. More to the dislike, and this is more meh. This is alright. I liked them, and they're the best. That's sort of where I'm at right now. Mayumi can go there. She wasn't a favorite of mine, but she definitely. We had the whole route where it was her and her family basically, and it was heart-wrenching dealing with just the entire her diner going into. Basically failing, her husband dying, her mental health degrading, her son becoming pretty much cruel to her at times. She was a pretty tragic figure, and I'm glad in that in at least a few of the routes she Ota at least is attempting to make things right with her. That's good. MoMA, weirdly enough, it's tough. He's on the border too. It's so weird how he ended up being like he rescued us like a few times. Man. Of course, he had to bring it down with him being a creep repeatedly. But he was pretty much always kind of comic relief, He wasn't really serious ever. He certainly never really felt like a threat. I'll leave him there for now. And gosh, Ota. I feel like this might be somewhat controversial, but I think he's gonna go there for now. And look, I'm just gonna be honest. His whole otaku thing, I did not care for. I just didn't. His rabid fascination with Iris, I just didn't like. It felt unhealthy. I generally don't like that whole fan culture, personally. So I just did not like seeing it in him. I especially did not like the way he treated his mother. He, of course, did have a few good moments. You know, I'm not saying he's irredeemable. We got pretty much at the end of all the good roots for him. He resolves to be a better person and work to help improve his mother's life rather than just support his hobbies. So he's not irredeemable, but I disliked him throughout more of the story than I did like him, really. So yeah. Pewter. I'll put you there. That's tough. He's on the border too. He was kind of, you know, our he's dressed like a supervillain. He's our tech guy. He supports us in the Somniums. He made Iba, which is an amazing, incredible thing, and that gives him a lot of points. But then he also tried to kill Iba, so that gives him negative points. He was fooled by Saito into supporting him. To Renju, which, you know, I'll sort of give him the benefit of the doubt in that I don't think he knew about the body swapping, but I'm not sure he had any reason to believe that was an effect at the time. I'll just keep him there for now. Receptionist, meh. It was the same joke every time, you know, it was just meh. It was the same joke every time, except it wasn't funny like Kagami. That was the receptionist. Renju is like here or here. He was just terrible father to Mizuki. I don't understand why he married Shoko. I kind of want to know what that story is, because we obviously know that Renju's kind of doesn't seem to swing that way. If you catch my drift. So why was he in a relationship with Shoko when they obviously weren't, you know, that happy together? And they even had a kid. What was that about? It just seems strange to me. Did he just do it because he felt it was necessary for his career or something? I don't know. But it obviously wasn't good for him or her or Shoko. So, I don't know. And yet we have this other side of him where he really cares about Monica and Iris, although apparently not enough to the point where Hitomi would tell him about her brain tumor. I don't know. Apparently Date's friend. We only saw that in flashbacks, though, so just kinda meh. Really. Rohan. Meh. Just evil Yakuza boss, really. One of the original Cyclops killers, but I didn't really like him. He wasn't really compelling of a character for me. He was in 89's body, and he did give us quite a few interesting cutscenes because of. I'll put him up to just meh instead. But yeah. Saito's kind of tough. He's our main villain, and I enjoyed, finding out who he was and guessing what it was happening. But when we got all the flashbacks about who Saito was, he just seemed like regular crazy serial killer guy. And he also spoke too much. Like, remember the scene where 89 was in Rohan's body and went to meet Saito and started asking him questions? And Saito just talked, he spilled everything. And like, I get it, Saito kind of knew he wasn't Rohan, even though I don't know how. It was kind of I don't know why he made the jump that it wasn't Rohan, but he did. And then in the final confrontation, he was weirdly tough. Like, he should have gotten knocked out several times over. But then instead of ever killing anyone, which, I'm thankful for, by the way, because I didn't want Hitomi or Iris or anyone to die. But it was just that sort of villain thing where, hey, I'm going to monologue at you while you save the day, essentially, which that wasn't very good. I did like his head exploding. That was satisfying. I will say that. So, Seijima, I'll start there for him. I did enjoy kind of jousting with him, Like, I enjoyed the idea of the savvy but corrupt politician who's able to, who we know he's up to something. We know he's done illegal stuff, but he's like, but you can't touch me, because I'm a politician. I know the law. I know my rights, and he's always able to wiggle his way out. So I enjoyed So Seijima as a villain much more than Saito, really. Although I do have to say, although I didn't enjoy Saito as a person, I enjoyed the body swapping, like learning, figuring out the trail that he did it. That was interesting. The whole body swapping thing. That's fine. That was interesting. It's just, I feel like he lost a lot of points in that final showdown, and in those flashbacks. Like when we had that confrontation with Saito when he was in Boss's body, that was crazy. That was intense. That was good. It's just, and him talking a lot in that instance made more sense because he's stalling for time. It didn't make sense at the factory. So, yeah. Shoko here too made more impact than these nobodies, but we didn't get much from her either. Apparently knew Date, was involved with the Kumakuras, and now we know, of course, what happened with her, and she being essentially the first victim of Saito's murder spree. But she was also an abusive mom, very abusive mom. Because according to Renju, she was essentially abused herself. So, yeah, just meh. And Ota's father, yeah, he was good. Very, very brief mentions of him, but all the things we've heard mentioned of him and the stuff we've seen in the flashbacks with him in the Somnium, he seemed like a stand-up guy. Someone who worked for his family to the death, really. But also wanted to instill the right values in Ota, and it's unfortunate that he died because Ota could have really used more direction than he got. So, he was good. Okay, so here's my, what would you say, preliminary the Somnium Files tier list. There's definitely a few I don't think are in contention. I think a lot of people probably like Aiba and Mizuki. I'm sure. I think probably more people will like Date than I did, and Ota. I think Ota might be much higher for a lot of people, but I think I'm gonna stick it with that for now. I'm sure I can argue myself moving a few of these, but I'm just gonna go with that one. I think that'll be good for now. So yeah. I guess you could sort of see my... does this sort of make it seem like it's more negative for me? That there were more meh characters than ones I really liked? And I guess that's how I feel, so... yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and... yeah, okay. So that's done. If you're only here for me talking about my thoughts on the game or talking about the characters, feel free to head out if you want. I appreciate you staying around. Now I'm going to talk about future plans and just me doing Let's Plays in general. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. I have a few plans. I thought I would eventually just get around to doing the next Danganronpa game, but I got informed by a kind commentator that there's apparently a bunch of stuff you have to do before you play Danganronpa 3. And so I looked into that, and apparently there's a show you have to watch, and a side... is it a side game, or is it a game in between the games? I might play that, because I think I own it. I think I bought, back when it was on sale, I think I bought like a bundle of Danganronpa. So I think it had all the games. It certainly had the main 3, but I think it also had this side game that I guess it takes place between... is it 2 and 3, I guess? I think that's what he said. So I might play that, and it's not a visual novel. This one, I think it's a shooter. Funnily enough, so that'll be a very big departure from what I've done. I'm looking at a few other games. In terms of visual novels, there are a few I'm looking at, and I would like some feedback on, if anyone would be willing to give it. There are a few mystery ones that I could do. There's the Zero Escapes series. Again, I want to go in kind of as blind as possible on these sorts of things, so I haven't looked up much. I just heard about it. And I think it's another mystery, like murder game, but I'm not entirely sure what kind of murder game it is. But I think there's a mystery to solve. And if anyone wants to suggest anything, if it has a kind of overarching mystery to solve, I think I'd appreciate that. It doesn't have to. Like, I'm thinking of another visual novel just to play. I've heard some good things said about Muv-Love. Just as of it being a good visual novel, but I don't think that one's a mystery. I think it's just a visual novel. So that would be a kind of departure, because so far in everything I've played, there's been a kind of aspect that I have to reason out. So if it's just a visual novel, I'm not sure how much there's to... But I'm not opposed to that. If it's just a story, I don't mind reading and commentating on it. I think that's kind of fun. So I'd be willing to do something like that. I just have to decide whether I'd want to. It's currently, as of recording this, August, and I'm thinking for October, when Halloween season comes around, I want to play this Raging Loop game. It's another visual novel that seems spooky, and so I would want to do. I think that could be my contribution to Spooky Month, doing something like that. So I might be in the middle of something, one thing I think I'm going to do for next time is I'm going to try and do 2 games at once. So I think I just alternate, uploading whichever game. So regardless of what I'm playing at the time in October, I think I may start playing this Raging Loop game as well. Just for it seems appropriate, There's a couple games from my youth I'm thinking of playing just for fun, as a sort of small side game to whatever I choose to do next as a main game. What kind of game is Amori? That's that's not a visual novel. That's like an RPG kind of game. I don't think I have a lot of experience with that kind of game, but I've saw it has a lot of really positive reviews. But I'm not sure I'd be that good at it. I'd have to think about that one. There's another game that's came out more recently. I think it's called Opus. I saw that had a lot of high reviews, and I think that's more in the vein of what I've been doing, these sort of story visual novels. I don't know if it's a mystery or anything, but that could be interesting to do. Yeah. Yeah, so just because I'm not sure, I may end up doing that Danganronpa sequel game before doing anything else, and I may start doing a secondary game at the same time. I just have to think about it. Yeah, and I may take a little break. I may not immediately start uploading after this series ends for me. I may take a little break, maybe a few days or a week. I'm not sure. You'll find out if I upload this and then the next day nothing happens. Yeah, that'll be the surest way to know. There's also Syconia. Am I allowed to upload Syconia? I remember hearing, I think there are some visual novels you're not supposed to upload. If someone could let me know, like, are there certain visual novels you're not allowed to put on the internet? Because that'd obviously be very important to know. So if anyone could tell me that, I'd appreciate it. Anyway, yeah, so those are the future plans. This has been my second Let's Play, the Somnium Files. Overall pretty good. I actually made thumbnails for this one. Very simple, rudimentary thumbnails. I just did it in Paint. That's how basic they are, but I did them, and I think it's good that I did them. Because here's a personal pet peeve for me, as someone who watches Let's Plays. I hate when people put like spoilers in the title or in the thumbnails. I hate it because I've been spoiled that way several times. So I didn't do it for my first Let's Play, but I tried to be careful. But for this Let's Play, I did it. I made thumbnails. So I think I'm gonna try and do that going forward. Make a simple thumbnail. Yeah, because I don't want to be that guy because I've been spoiled so many times. I don't think any of the auto-generated ones from my first Let's Play are that bad. I mean, well, maybe some near the end, but at that point you're like at the end. So, in any case, if you have actually listened to me this long, I applaud your will, your patience, and I really appreciate it. And so I hope you're having a good one. And if not, I hope it gets better for you. And I hope to see you in the next Let's Play. This has been The Warm with the Somnium Files. See you next time.